Hey, in this session, we're going to look at seeing comments, and there are three types of comments: single line comment, multi-line comment, and hashbang comment. So the important part is what to use where while we are writing the test automation code. So let's get started. I'm going to just demonstrate with a simple code. Let me create a folder and organize a bit neater. So let's create a folder called maybe JS core, and then I'll create under this. Okay, so let's start creating a file, and let me name this file as comments.js, and we'll go from here. Okay, so the purpose is how do we write a single line command and what's a use case? Where do we write them? We all know basically when we want to automate a web application, for example, the typical method would be login method, right? So let me demonstrate creating a function. Again, the purpose of this session is not to tell you how to create a login method, but just to show you where I'm using what command. So let me create a function called login, and then login generally most of the application will take username as the first argument, and second argument would be a password. This would be a simple authentication. So here I'm not going to create any of the actual step of logging in, but just I'm writing it here. So for the purpose of for demo, let me just hardcode the username. So whatever user can provide, I'm going to internally change it to my constant value. So let me just hardcode the username field to something a constant value. Let me just put it as, let's say that test underscore user. So this is my hard-coded value. So my steps again goes on, and then at the end I'm going to just complete the login process. So that I'll say console.log, and then just for the example purpose, login is successful for the user. Whatever user that you provide, that will be get printed username. Again, don't get confused about any of the function, the signature of the function, and what I'm using it internally. But the whole purpose is again just to tell you, demonstrate you what are the purpose of using the comments. So this is my simple command. And now, so whenever we write a reusable command, for example, page objects or a typical reusable method or function, then generally general convention would be to add more information so that the other user, other team member can understand this. So that's where we typically use the multi-line command. As you can see here, after I created the function, and the moment I just put a forward slash and then double star immediately, and remember if I just put a space in between, that it will not compile. So if I remove this and then add this value here, you can see that it is a multi-line command. So basically what is a multi-line command? To add more lines into that just for the readability and usability. So then I can add a comment saying that this is a login function for ABC application, for example, because the application which may use just username and password, this method can be used. So this is my actual description of the method, and automatically it understands there is a param, that's a parameter I need to pass as a username, and second parameter I need to pass as the password when I call the function. So now I can just add more information about the username, provide only test user ID, for example, right? Just adding more information so that whoever is using this method cannot make any mistakes. So now I'm just going to add and call the function. Is spelling right. So when I call the function name is login, and then I'm just typing in, let me say this is my test as a username, and I'm password I'm just keeping is blank. So when I execute this function, let's see what's going to happen. So the way we can execute node and then just typing in what is the file name, comment.js. So node comment.js. So it doesn't autocomplete. The reason being, sometimes when we write code, then we make a mistake. So obviously I'm in the root folder. Basically JS for automation is my root. How do you understand whether you are in a root? Because wherever you see the package.json, that's your root generally. So this is my root. Under the root, I have the folder called node modules. This is for the external packages, and I have also called js dash core. That's my folder. So I need to move on to the folder cd and then move on to the folder js, and if you press the tab key, that auto completes, then you are into the folder now. So now you can issue the command node and then execute commands. So what you see here is login is successful for the user, test user, because this is hard coded internally. Even though you pass test here, but this is hard coded. But again, the whole purpose not to tell you how the function works, but now let's understand where I use what uh, command. So on top of the function, I used a multi-line command just to give more information about that. And optionally, if this command is going to return something, you can also provide annotate with returns and then whatever value that's going to return. For example, when you read an API, when you call an API generally returns you some data. So then you can say this returns a JSON object or array, whatever. And because it doesn't return anything, I'm just may just put none, and this is how I write a multi-line command, which will be useful. And the good part about this, when you hover on this login method, when you call it, then you can see whatever you have written. So this says that login function for ABC application, and then this parameter I need to provide username and password. So if you look at any of the standard inbuilt JavaScript function, for example parse int, for example parse float, whatever, and then you can hover on it, that whatever you see, whatever when they define the function, they have provided this information as their more description at the header. That's what you are seeing there. Okay, that's a use case of multi-line command, and wherever I use the single line command. So inside of it, if you want to just add a single note, then you can use the single line command. The format is 2/ immediately, and then you can put whatever you need. And again, this can be used as a top level, as well as you can also provide at the end of a line. So for example, this I'm just noting it down, I'm just providing a hard coded value. So if in case if you want to debug more or you want to change it in future, then you can refer this line automatically. So this is a typical use case of where we use what type of commands in our test automation code. And we'll see a next topic in the next session.